Black people were already here. See, this is what I mean by they're trying to erase us. They want to get us out of every facet of every area that we exist in. These people are neo-colonizers. They're the tip of the colonizer's sword now, because when anybody challenges them, you're racist, right? And that's the whole tactic right there. I'm giving you their playbook right now. Native Americans are not a race, and we certainly didn't fucking come from Siberia. We don't know where the hell you came from, but you were not already here.
When I say that America has a debt to pay, and until they pay it, the country will never be free, this is what I mean.
Just trying to stay sucker free in a world full of lollipops. I'm seeing all the ops. Fake news, fake views. It's an illness, the cure to the sick shit. It's the pretty realist.
What's good, family? Welcome to Pretty Realist. If this is your first time joining my channel, welcome. Unless you've been hiding under a rock, there has been some new discoveries that are taking place when it comes to Black America, and I am here for it. We know that in the 80s, Jesse Jackson thought that he was the leader of Black people, and him and the National Urban Coalition decided that it was okay to just reclassify Black people without their vote. What classifies an African American as an African American if they have never been to a continent that they are told that they are from? Who decided that this would be the story that Black people need to stick with? How has it benefited us at all? We don't have dual citizenship. We don't even know what tribes we're from, because Africa is not a country, it's a continent with other countries. And even still, we're being told that we have no culture by the same people that we're supposed to be connected to in many ways. Why in this country, a country where not only our ancestors spilled blood for, as well as spill blood on, why their descendants have to be made to feel as if they're the outsiders of this country? A lot of Black Americans feel this way because we're learning from a lot of our grandparents that they are not from Africa. We're having fights with Indians, Native Americans on a regular basis because they themselves don't even want to accept us. Where do we go from here? Say that this video that I'm about to show you is a good start and could possibly point us in the right direction. Let's go ahead and test this theory, see exactly who is responsible for classifying all Black Americans as African Americans, even though they might not all be from there.
I mean, it's really important for us to remember our history. You know, unless you're one of the first Americans, you came from someplace else. Somebody brought you.
That probably is me, absolutely. Because I'll tell you what, if you look at some of the reservations that you've approved, you, sir, in your great wisdom have approved, I will tell you right now, they don't look like Indians to me, and they don't look like the Indians. Now, maybe we say politically correct or not politically correct. They don't look like Indians to me, and they don't look like Indians to Indians, and a lot of people are laughing at it, and you're telling how tough it is, how rough it is to get approved. Well, you go up to Connecticut, and you look. Now, they don't look like Indians to me, sir.
To live in the slums to care, Melanie. You don't have to try to be something you're not.
God, I can't stand this. Trying to be something I'm not? Trying to be proud of my African heritage? If that's being something I'm not, then fine. If that's being something I'm not, then fine.
Are you cool with being fake?
I'd rather be dead than be like you.
Oh.
Stuck-up nigger who's ashamed of being Black.
Ooh. Ooh.
My grandmother was a full-blooded Iroquois.
I know all that, Mama.
They don't know this.
There she go.
I am alive because of the blood of the people who never scraped or begged or apologized for what they were. They asked only one thing of this world: to be allowed to be. And I learned through the blood of these people that Black isn't beautiful. It isn't ugly. It isn't kinky hair. It isn't straight hair. Black is just Black. broke my heart when you changed your name. I gave you my grandmother's name, a woman who bore 9 children and educated them all. Who held off 6 white men with a shotgun when they tried to drag one of her sons off to jail for not knowing his place. And you had to reach into an African dictionary to find a name that would make you proud.
You told her. You told her.
Now, with all of that being said, let's go back in time a little to where this fictitious propaganda was cultivated and implemented into our mindsets as a fact of one-sided historic information. Melville Jean Herskovich was born on September 10th, 1895 in Bellefontaine, Ohio, to 2 Jewish immigrant parents who immigrated from parts of Europe to North America during the mid-1800s.
I'm sorry. They're always in black people business. And this isn't in a way to be racist, because I have a really good friend. She's Jewish. I know that there's different types of Jewish people. So I don't have a problem with Jewish people at all. But somehow, some way, this group of people are always in black business, whether it's from entertainment. They have their hand in everything. And God forbid you say anything bad about them, because the moment that you do, you lose everything. In fact, I'm not going to say too much on this video about them. I'm going to let Dane say it. I thought it was going to be like Marcus Garvey or a Pan-African or something. Why? I'm going to let it play.
His mother, Henrietta Hart, was an immigrant from Germany, and his father, Herman Herskovich, was an immigrant from Hungary. The family moved to El Paso, Texas in 1905. Then, soon after his mother abruptly passed away from a mysterious illness, Melville and his father moved to Erie, Pennsylvania, where Melville later graduated from Erie Senior High School in 1912. Melville began his college studies at the University of Cincinnati, while simultaneously taking rabbinical studies at the Hebrew Union College, Cincinnati campus, as traditionally suggested by his family, being as though the college is a Jewish institution of religion. When the United States involved themselves in the conflict known as World War I on July 28, 1914, history loves to state that Melville allegedly quelled his studies to enlist in the, quote, Army's Medical Corps and headed off to Europe. Now, keep in mind that his mother was from Germany and his father from Hungary, in which both places, including Bulgaria and the Ottoman Empire, fought against Russia, Italy, France, Japan, Romania, Great Britain, and of course, the United States.
If you've enjoyed this video so far, please click that bell, subscribe to the channel, get notifications when my next video come out. Let's go ahead and get back to the show.
Noteworthy here is which side of the conflict Melville allegedly subscribed to, because there is no actual records of him enrolling in the United States Army in the first place. Yeah, and I'm just getting started here. Now, when he returned to North America, Melville transferred to the University of Chicago at a time where anthropology was heavily influenced by the deceitful hidden agendas of industrialism, along with political European colonialism, where pseudoscientific theories were not only praised by one particular group of people, but justified for its subjugation of non-white people. Before World War I began, in a speech directed to accredited businessmen, President Woodrow Wilson stated that henceforth public policy will be geared to providing a public education tailored to producing industrial workers who did not question orders and were skilled in only basic manual labors, and that a liberal education will be reserved only for a small elite.
Did
By
nobody
the
want
early
that shit?
1900s, American industrialists recognized that compulsory public education was the most useful means to socially engineer the American population to suit the purposes of industrial capitalism. Local networks of corporate foundations, university education and psychological departments, educational accrediting boards, and governmental agencies arose to oversee the implementation of the blueprint for this ambitious but yet so devastatingly evil social engineering project.
By the way, Woodrow Wilson was a real life piece of shit. I don't know if y'all know. He's really the reason why we got income taxes. So not only was he the reason why, now it all kind of makes sense. So these must be the groups of people that he sold our country to. And when we pay our taxes every year, considering the fact that the Federal Reserve is not even a part of the United States government.
Now, getting back to Melville, he abruptly halted his studies at the Hebrew Union College and then moved on to complete his graduate studies at Columbia University. What's very important to note here is while working on his master's and PhD, Melville found himself under the guidance of his professor, named Franz Boas, a German immigrant from Minden, Germany, who migrated to North America during the year of 1887. Franz Yuri Boas was considered to be the sole author of American anthropology. In fact, he was dubbed as the grandfather of American anthropology by his self-proclaimed significant students, with Melville being one of them. As a professor of anthropology at Columbia University beginning in 1899, Franz heavily influenced many prominent people that we know of today, all the way up until his death on December 21st, 1942, and some of whom shares the same hue of complexion as you and I. Franz had his own hidden agenda, but history loves to paint the picture as if it was done for the better good, when in fact it was designed to upkeep the continuation of manipulative indoctrination. For example, Franz promoted an idea that Negroes residing in America are all somehow descendants of Africans in Africa, based solely on the fact that we all share the same hue of complexion, and that's it, meaning that's all of the evidence he had. Now, keep in mind that this was the first time ever in history where people overheard.
These people look evil, bro. Oh my God. Oh God, please, Dane, please change the picture.
That Negroes are somehow Africans now. Then the Harvard-taught sociologist and one of the co-founders of the NAACP and the first so-called person of color to even earn a doctorate at this time, named W.E.B. Du Bois, took this fictitious idea to new heights, being as though he was considered to be a person of color, providing another side of social engineering influence amongst people that shared his same hue of complexion. In fact, Franz Boas influenced W.E.B. Du Bois in his teachings, even while being a professor of sociology, economics, and history at Atlanta University. Franz taught and told Melville Herskovits, along with his other students, and even W.E.B. Du Bois, what to do and what not to do, sending private letters back and forth throughout the years of the early 1900s.
Wow.
Then soon after his fictitious idea transitioned into a plan, it was later implemented into U.S. history books systematically. But of course, Franz had assistance, and the majority of this assistance is credited to Melville, being as though he began to create the anthropometric studies of the so-called African Americans, while simultaneously releasing science fictional and general fictional books, like for example, The Cattle Complex in East Africa in 1926. This science of anthropology dramatically changed once Melville introduced his Out of Africa theory, during a time when biological theories still prevailed in anthropology during the late 1920s, in which the underlying belief was that so-called blacks were genetically inferior to whites. Now, in order to draw all of the credit and attention to his own work for possible federal funding, Melville mysteriously but yet purposely had a falling out with W.E.B. Du Bois and began to state that Du Bois's work is inaccurate and filled with propaganda, sabotaging Du Bois's, quote, Encyclopedia Africana project by burning its credibility straight to the ground. Soon after that, Melville gained higher political power, then quickly received funding from wealthy private foundations and multiple federal government agencies, like the National Research Council, for example, which was established by special request from President Woodrow Wilson in 1916. What's very important to note here is Du Bois's reputation was purposely attacked by the same people that established it in the first place. In other words, Du Bois pledged himself under a form of order by a particular prominent group of wealthy Jews to help assist with manipulating the minds of those he could reach. And as soon as that goal was met, Du Bois's entire operation was shut down. And even Du Bois himself tried his very best to bring multiple prominent people of color down along with him. Side note, you would consistently see Du Bois and Booker T. Washington side by side for a very particular reason. And by the way, it is not a coincidence that soon after these so-called black men visited each and every prosperous Black Wall Street across America, these areas dubbed as Negro or Black Wall Streets were immediately destroyed in more ways than just one. Now, around this time, Melville was single-handedly emerging as an iconic figure in America. But the so-called funding that he received that I mentioned earlier was not to help him with researching and discovering publicly verifiable evidence as the story loves to claim. No, the funding was yet an advancement of his salary, set up for him to be paid to create and produce a story that millions of people were unfamiliar with. What I mean by that is, Melville is solely responsible for expanding the lies of storytelling, in which in turn it was later considered to be American history, by completely reversing the records of historic information by creating a fictional story about African slaves immigrating to the Americas by way of the Spaniards during the 1500s.
Oh my God. So this motherfucker came all the way over here, lied about being in the service, still somehow got a job, and was able to manipulate the entire history of us with the help of men who we've looked at as being heroes. To find out that they were some frauds definitely got me feeling some type of way. I'm sorry. Like, I don't want to cry on my video. That hurt. That hurt bad. Because why would you do that to us? What really kind of got me wanting to shed tears. They had a hand in possibly destroying our Black Wall Street. They burnt these places down. They took lives. There's even places in America where they have literally been flooded out because so much has been done to our ancestors. I wouldn't even say us because I'm blessed. I'm in a decent spot in my life. But had these things not happened to my ancestors, to other Black Americans' ancestors, we wouldn't have a wealth gap this big. Does that seem fair to you? Yes. Many people came over here. They probably started from the bottom up and had to work their way up. But they didn't have their whole fucking communities burnt down. Y'all got Muslims coming over here, somehow getting involved in government. But they're trying to bring their laws to our land, their communities, in our land. Wouldn't be a problem. But had you not, but y'all didn't let us have our same shit. We were forced to integrate. At one point, it seemed like a great idea. And I mean, like right now in 2025, I don't have a problem with living around. I don't have a problem with living around people who are different from my background, who are different. But at one point, we were okay with being on our own. We were okay with being segregated. It was the people who wanted us segregated that had a problem with us being segregated. Did you want us to have our own shit or not? Like, I hated to go on that tangent. I really hope this video blows up. And I'm not even saying that it blows up just for me to get any type of notoriety. But more people need to see this shit. Because they obviously ain't showing you on CNN, CSNBC, and ABC. They not showing you this shit on PBS. Al Sharpton ain't talking about this. Umar Johnson ain't talking about this.
This story is known as the Middle Passage. However, prior to Melville's fictional story, no information existed in history that clearly mentioned that the so-called Negroes of the American lands literally came from Africa. It was said that Melville allegedly took a trip to somewhere in Africa, meaning that there is absolutely no record of this, just a story, gathered up a few artifacts from there, observed a few tribes and a few cultures, and dubbed it as Africanism, then traveled back to the US, wrote a book called The Myth of the Negro Past, and published it in 1942 in the fictional section, where he claimed that the people of color in America somehow lost connection with their cultural past during the Middle Passage from Africa to the Americas. So the question remains, why was Melville instructed and paid to create such a fictional story that was later dubbed as facts? Then, why would people that did not originate from this land but fought and died to immigrate to it and colonize it, try to dominate your thinking by indoctrinating your mind into believing that you belong to somewhere other than your own home? And if you choose to believe it, you just may lose yourself and everything you own. Now, why is it important to tell you where your ancestors derived from? Because the truth lies in the knowledge of what this land really holds. And your children are the sole inheritors. But if you freely leave what is rightfully yours, then who becomes the beneficiary?
I might need a cocktail after this video, because, man, it makes your blood boil. This is one of the reasons why I understand why Trump is getting rid of shit when it comes to the Smithsonian Museum, because they're not even being truthful. Have y'all seen a slave ship at all? We've had people who we've looked at as being pillars in our community, as being great people, help out with this theory. It's mind blowing. My mind is blown. This is one of the reasons why it's important to learn history. I do these videos. I don't do it for division. I do it to open people's minds. We have got to start asking questions. And not only do we got to start asking questions, we got to start demanding answers from the people who have them. There's no reason why this shit should be hidden, and why it takes one person to actually speak about it for everybody else to know about it. We should have books in schools about this. Our culture, American culture, is ours. So when you people in the diaspora sit here and say, oh, well, we don't have any culture, at least have a little bit of sympathy that this is what happened, because we're just figuring it out. It's crazy how everybody says that Black Americans don't have culture when we see everybody around the world using our culture, taking advantage of our culture, having fun with our culture, making money off our culture. And then you got assholes like this Melvin dude, his people, they make billions of dollars off of our culture, off of exploiting it. And they're allowed to, and ain't nobody saying shit about it. Ain't nobody sticking up for it. You gotta do better. Y'all out here doing line dances with fucking fans. And we are in the middle of one of the biggest land grabs and wealth transfers that this country probably has ever seen in the 19th century. Y'all need to wake the fuck up, because a lot of y'all have kids. And if you keep playing around and you keep ignoring that some shit is changing rapidly, there's not going to be a country for your kids to have when you're dead and gone. It was heavy. But I'm going to carry it. I'm going to carry it because you know what? What's done is done. The only thing we can do is move forward. So hopefully you guys will take this information and move forward with it. Do what you will. Do your research. We can't change the past, but we definitely got to make sure that the future does not repeat what the past has brought us. Don't shoot the messenger. Only receive the message. If it's for you, receive it. If it's not, leave it. Hey, I would love to hear from you all. So tell me, what do you think? Do you believe that Black Americans should reclassify themselves? How do you feel that Black Americans should move forward with this information? All right, y'all, I'm out of here.
Just trying to stay sucker free in a world full of lollipops. I'm seeing all the ops. Fake news, fake views. It's an illness, the cure to the sick shit. It's the pretty realist.